But right now I have Gertrude Johnson with me, along with Sarah, and they're with the Interfaith Storytelling of the Tri-City area. Is that right?
Yes, it's the Interfaith Story Circle of the Tri-City area.
Right. And Children at the Well. Well, how did that get that name?
Well, actually, we applied to the National Storytelling Network for a grant to start the project, and they, of course, wanted a title. Paula Weiss, who's the director of the project, now actually came up with a name. The idea of children gathering at the well in olden times and drawing from the depths of the well, the idea of our children drawing from the stories, the depths of the wisdom of their traditions, and carrying that out to the community, to their families and to the community. That's the origin of the name.
And since it's interfaith, you certainly are looking for an array of faces to tell these stories.
Yes, we have had in our project so far Hindu, Jewish, Christian, Muslim. Sarah is with us today, and she's of the Muslim tradition. Unitarian, Baha'i, and we're always looking for new groups.
So if someone's watching, they might be interested, they could contact you on this.
Yes.
Sarah, and you've been telling stories since you were 12 years old.
Yes, I joined when I was in 7th grade. And when I joined in 7th grade, I was kind of iffy about it. I had never spoken in front of a large audience before, and I wasn't really comfortable with it at the time, but now I've become very comfortable with it, and I also enjoy it a lot too.
And it's nice to be able to, now do you memorize these stories, or are they kind of like, you know the theme of the story and you might tell it a little different each time? Because there's more of a natural way when you tell the story a little bit different each time than when it's a rote story. So tell me, how do you tell your stories?
Well, really, it's all about connecting with the audience, and each time it can be different because the story it's really the moral that really matters in the story, and I really do tell it differently each time because I connect differently with each audience, and really, if the audience is giving off good energy, then usually my story is more lively and a lot more happy, I guess. And the moral is really, I like to think of it as, I guess, more of a mental performance other than a theatrical performance, because it's really the moral you wanna get out to the audience. You want them to feel the way you do about that same subject. You want them to feel that same passion you feel about that subject, or you want them to learn about your religion, or whether it's about taking away the misconceptions, or it's all about how you feel about it, and if you can get that to the audience.
And a message in a story seems to work so much better than one of these things, right? Just kind of trying to tell you what's the right thing or not. But when you put it in context of a culture, of a religion, of a young person telling that story, it seems that it must have an impact that is just incredible.
They're wonderful witnesses. They're representatives of their tradition. They're witnesses to the truth that their traditions hold, that many of us might not be aware of.
Right.
And they're tremendous witnesses to the community in the friendships that they have for each other. I remember one person saying, I said, after one performance, how did you think they did? And she said, I thought they did wonderful. They all told beautifully, but you know what I love best? And I said, what? And she said, watching them with each other. To see the students from all different religious traditions and being friends.
Well, what's so important is understanding. We were talking with John Silvestri earlier, and it talked about understanding really what people are going through, and this is the same thing, your culture, to learn about other cultures, because sometimes we have so much more in common than we have as differences. And unless we hear the other person, we don't know that. We tend to want to label without really, it's a shortcut. If we label it, then I don't have to think much. But in storytelling, you learn that there's so much more in common. Now, how do you pick your stories?
With me, it's usually something, I always pick a story that I can relate to. If you can't relate to the story, it's really hard to connect with the characters and to even, I guess, tell the moral to somebody else. it's not easy unless you can relate to it. So
Okay.
that's something I always look out for.
Well, tell me, I know we have a minute or two. Tell me just briefly of the essence of a story. What kind of a story would you tell? I mean,
I always tell, like I said, ones that I can relate to, but also ones that deal with daily life, I guess, and usually I always pick one that connects with my religion, which is Islam, or my culture.
Okay.
So yeah.
And you had one in particular.
Yeah, one of my favorite stories that I have told before is it was a moral story about friendship, and I remember the last line. This always sticks with me. When a friend does you wrong, write it in the sand where the winds of forgiveness can blow it away. But when the friend does you good, carve it in stone where it can remain for eternity.
that's lovely.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Talk
It's
about-
a beautiful little story.
Oh,
of
my God.
Two friends who, have real conflicts and how they forgive each other.
Well, I like the
And
part
she
about writing
really-
it in sand because it will go away. I mean, sometimes we harbor so much dissent between each other because of something that happened. Forgiveness has got to be
It's not easy, but
not easy, but it's what makes us better people.
exactly.
To be able to take a step away from it and say, this happened, but I'm going to be just a little bit better and go a little bit, we talk about taking the high road.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So are you recruiting kids?
Well,
or-
we're looking this next fall to be recruiting for the coming season. Each year we have approximately, we could have 13 up to 20 students, say, within one given year.
Do you teach them how to do this?
Do
How to
I
tell
teach
stories?
them?
Who
No,
ta-
I'm
I mean,
not
how
the
do they-
story coach. I'm,
Oh, okay, that's what I'm wondering.
We have professional story coaches.
Okay, that's what I was wondering,
Professional
how-
storytellers.
So
it's
if
a
they're
wonderful
watching and
opportunity
say-
for young people
Well, I was gonna
to
say-
be coached in an art that
Yeah.
they're not usually.
If they're watching and thinking, I can't tell a story, I want them to know there is someone that helps them.
Wonderful professional story coaches who have a very affirming approach to coaching, very much appreciations rather than criticisms, cooperation rather than competition.
Yeah.
And the students actually give the appreciations to each other as
gonna
they're
say.
telling.
Yeah.
And so it's really, they encourage each other and help each other with their stories, right?
Yeah, and the friendships you make there are, I feel like they're a lot more different than the friendships you would make in school, because these friendships are based on acceptance, because you go into this program knowing that everyone is there for acceptance.
Yeah.
So, and you find out a lot of things about different cultures and religions that you would have never thought, because there's so many, like you're told so many things and there's so many misconceptions, whether it's in the media or things you just hear around, and so just seeing it firsthand is a lot different than hearing about it. So
You're absolutely right, Sarah, and the idea it's man to man or person to person is the best way to create peace in the world, I think, is to kind of go, have an individual connection rather than having governments tell us what to do, right? And who to like and who not to like, right?
exactly.
In Children at the Well and Interfaith Story Circle, we connect with each other through the stories. We don't dialogue about what we believe, or the differences
you're just
that we
telling
have.
stories.
We just share the stories of wisdom from our traditions, and that's where we really connect heart to heart.
Yeah. We've been talking with Gertrude Johnson's Children at the Well, along with Sarah, who's really a poster child for this, it seems, because she really seems to get the message out there, and you brought a wonderful representative.
Got
So,
some pictures?
yeah.
Okay.
Did we show the pictures, Greg?
Yeah. Oh, could we? Oh, I'm sorry.
We're just waiting here. There we go.
This is one of our Hindu storytellers who actually told at the Sharing the Fire conference. The New England storytellers were here, and a few of our storytellers got to tell. This is Emily with a friend. Emily will be a senior too. This is Sarah and some of her friends, right, Sarah?
That was my first year.
Yes, that was her first year. This is a conference we attended. This is at one of the homes of our story coaches, where everybody's gathered.
I love that shot.
Yeah, that one was up the stairs. That was like our third year, I think. That's a coach down in the corner, Marnie Gillard.
Oh, she's been on the show.
Yes,
Yeah.
Marnie's been on the show. That's at Nazareth College in Rochester, where they did a day for high school youth, and they actually presented the workshops and told the stories to the youth on their own. That's one of our picnics. At the end of the year, there's a picnic each year for children at the well. Those are two of our girls from the early years, Ada and Nimi. And that's also the picnic at the end of the year. Two of our Muslim boys, friends of Sarah's. There's Ritam, who's from the Hindu tradition, at our picnic. This is Salad Machu Muhammad in the middle of this picture. She was from Ghana. She was an exchange student, and she was with us last year.
Oh, how wonderful.
And she told beautifully. She told beautifully. So being a part of Children at the Well brings many opportunities for doing not just the final storytelling event, but going to conferences, presenting workshops, and doing things in different faith communities.
Right. And the understanding is just beautiful,
Yeah,
I think,
thank you.
of that. Well, you learned about it, and if you want to find out more information, they do have a website you can check out, or you can give them a call. I'm sure they'd be happy to tell you how you can get involved or how some of your children can get involved.